15-second delay.
Good evening, Littleton. Welcome to the Select Board meeting for Monday, May 12th. We're going to begin with an executive session.
Okay. Move that the Select Board vote to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy and preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, the police union. The Select Board will adjourn to executive session and will reconvene in open session after the executive session.
Second.
Moved by Matthew, seconded by Karen. Roll call vote. Gary?
Gary's yes.
Matthew?
Matthews, yes.
Karen?
Karen's yes.
Mark's a yes. We'll see you in about 15 minutes.
It has been switched. 15 seconds, and we will be live. Nope.
Okay, welcome back. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. He said it would be on before he was up.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have the reading of the mail, select board discussions, department updates for PRC, DPW, and another PRC. A public hearing at 7 p.m. for the setting the town transfer station rates. 7:20 we'll have public input. 7:15 appointments. Review the annual town meeting minutes and adjourn promptly at 8:25. We'll start with the mail.
Okay. Current vacancies on the, Mr. Chairman, current vacancies on the town board. We've got opportunities with the Agricultural Commission, Conservation Commission, Cultural Council, Economic Development Committee, Historical Commission, Master Plan Implementation Committee, Permanent Municipal Building Committee, Zoning Board of Appeals, and one opening that's appointed by the school committee on the for the Finance Committee. We have sign up for receive public notifications for the town of Littleton. Register at www.littletonma.org/subscribe. Community impacts, public safety activity, transportation issues, town meeting changes, public health concerns, town events, stay informed. Here we've got a notice of hearing of compliance for Tavern in the Square, which with the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission in Chelsea, Mass. They have the tavern has been notified that a hearing will be held with the ABCC at 95 4th Street, Suite 3 in Chelsea on June 17th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. In regards to permitting and illegality on the licensed premises for delivery of an alcoholic beverage to a person under 21 years of age. And here we have Arbor Day Foundation. We have extend the warmest congratulations to Littleton for achieving 2024 Tree City USA. Well-deserved recognition. This has been hard work from Tim Pearson in Conservation Commission. This is the second year well, at least since I've been here, it's been every year. So, good work.
The mayor worked very hard at this too.
I did. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that.
It's addressed to Mayor Duggan. That's why
I have my business my business cards are being made up as we speak.
Yeah.
And we were also got notification from the town of Sudbury that they are withdrawing from the transportation dispatch program that we have with Acton, Littleton, and Sudbury. And currently, we are scheduled to be spending $27 annually, split into 4 quarterly payments.
$27,000.
What did I say?
$24.
What a bargain.
Pretty good deal. Yeah. Why would they ever leave?
Touche. 27,000 and change for that. That is our share. Sudbury's is a lesser amount, and and the first thought is it's going to cost us more, but the 27,000 is based upon an average annual percent of the total number of runs, so that total number of runs with Sudbury leaving will go down. So quick back of the envelope calculations will probably go down to about $24,000 from 27. But I'm communicating with the town manager in Acton just to confirm that thought process. I'll report back. Here we have the first, the robotics. They finished up their season, and as a result of when they came when they lost the Heartbreaker locally, then they went to the World Championships in Houston, and they did a tremendous job. They were very, very tough matches, and that says here, was selected to play in the 6th seed alliance with teams from Michigan, California, and Canada, progressing 3 matches into a double elimination playoff rounds before the alliance was eliminated. But they really had a tremendous, from, if you read through this in the Mail, it really was quite impressive on their enthusiasm and what they did all the way around. So very, very impressive by the robotics team. Very. Here we have a gift acceptance form for EHS from Nancy and Bruce Morrison for $1,000 for the Safe Return Program. And for those of you out there in Littleton for the Safe Return Program, you can get it either through the police department or EHS, the Council on Aging. It's a toolkit of resources for family members and caregivers to assist in evaluating the home and taking steps to promote safety for their loved ones with dementia, neurodiversities, and or tendencies to wander. Air tags, anti-removal case, door chimes, anti-wander signs, caregiver support information. So please take advantage of that. I think it's fantastic. Another gift acceptance form for EHS COA from the Rotary Club of Littleton, the amount of $1,100 for the Safe Return Program again. Thank you very much for your generosity. And we have a gift acceptance form for EHS Find Your Village Real Estate, Kimberly Albertelli. Then $5,000 for room naming an elevator for the gift fund, and thank you very much for that.
She's cornering all the elevators.
Isn't she?
Kind of like the railroads on Monopoly board, the floor.
Yeah. Can't use them unless you go.
That's it.
On the ABCC, as those results, those hearings are held, or is someone going to make a recommendation on the actions we should be taking? Or should we be, like, whether we should be holding our own hearing or sending letters or just?
It's your decision. According to town council, it's a matter of what steps you would like to do as a legislative body of the town.
So does that come to us from Pat O'Donohue, who does the investigations for Littleton, or?
Comes from ABCC.
He didn't do those investigations, so. It wasn't Pat, at least this was ABCC, Sting, if you will.
Right, but I mean, how, to Mark's point, how will we be communicated with? From the ABCC?
Yes. We just got one very recently that they had their hearing, like it just
They
came in
ruled on,
an hour ago.
It was on one stop. But, so, I guess the question is, we're gonna need a little bit of background on, is it second offense, first offense, third offense? We don't even know that.
Yeah.
Right, we're just seeing how it went down, so to speak. So I don't know, I think we don't have really a chart that says if this is your third offense, you're going to have or whatever. How egregious is it? Or so maybe it's something that we.
I mean, I don't know what kind of records we may have, because it, and I'm assuming it may be at the police station that because they would be notified, like these 4 offenses that recently occurred. The town was notified, and I would assume that same practice happened before if there were multiple ones. So I'll find out.
It seems like we should at least send a letter.
Yes.
Right.
Warning.
Yeah.
Or a letter of warning, or come in front of the board, or whatever we decide, I guess. But maybe for another meeting, we put it on there.
You can, to your point, that you may request them to come in and just explain the situation, what happened and everything like that. You can take your own separate actions if you feel you want to do, it doesn't matter what they came to their conclusion, their decision. If you feel that there is whether it's a day or however long, or just confirm the warning, however you would like to proceed.
So this is kind of what we did, one of the businesses on the Common, if you recall.
Yeah.
So I guess it's more of what have you done to mitigate this since you found out the result, the results of this, and that's maybe.
So
With
the
that
question is, do we want to call in everyone, or do we just want to take the recommendation of the ABCC or react on their recommendation?
I think we can look at the background, I think, see what the ABCC does, and also determine whether or not there have been prior violations.
Yeah.
I think if, that would inform, at least for me, I think would be the difference between just saying, be careful, versus asking for some concrete change like we did with
Yeah,
the Littleton Convenience Store.
so as they come in, maybe we put them on the agenda to decide what we want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on, Select Board reorganization, my favorite part of the meeting.
I'll make a motion that we elect Karen Morrison to be the chair of the Select Board.
Second if she'll take it.
All right, we'll give it a go.
Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Get it.
And then we've got vice chair.
I'll nominate Matthew Nordhaus as vice chair.
Second.
Okay, any other? No, not for me.
Discussion.
You good? What?
It's your turn.
But we don't have a clerk either, right?
Well,
We'll do
this,
Matthew.
and then
All
we'll-
right. So, sorry.
Moved by Chuck and seconded.
Oh, there we go. Moved by Chuck, seconded by Gary. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And now we have clerk.
Clerk.
I think I nominate Gary Wilson to be the clerk.
Second.
All right. Anyone else? Moved by Gary, seconded by
Moved by
Chuck.
Matthew, seconded by,
Oh, yeah.
or what?
You'll get it.
We're off
Yeah,
to a good
anyway.
start. You guys sure you don't want
Aye.
to reconsider?
Minutes are going to be all over the place.
Have a recall vote.
I'll sign.
Karen seconds that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Want to switch chairs?
I think we're good.
Okay.
All right. So that's that. Moving on. We've got select board discussion regarding the next select board retreat and goal setting session. It's that time of year again.
Calendars, I guess.
Everyone pull out their calendars. Let's see if we can figure something out.
Did we do it on a Friday afternoon last year
So,
at the fire department?
Yeah.
Yeah.
or something like
Is that right?
I thought it was morning or earlier or something.
that. 12 to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When aren't you available? Do you have any vacation or anything?
No, no, Lisa has given me a vacation, so I will, I'll work around it. I mean,
So not the 16th, obviously, because it's ribbon cutting for Shattuck Street.
We can't do the 23rd either. That's
Memorial Day.
JLMC, and it's
Okay.
JLMC mediation. So.
So the
Right.
30th would be the one after that?
That's not so great for me.
Okay.
We're still before the fiscal year, so we're okay.
The 7th?
6th.
The
6th.
sixth,
Sorry, the
is that
sixth.
high school graduation?
It is. No, the 30th is. The 30th is high school graduation.
6th of June.
6th works for me. Anybody else?
13th works better for me. I'm supposed to be away that weekend, but
I have office hours on the 6th, but,
Lisa's
so the
not,
13th would be better for me.
Lisa's not free the
13th is
13th.
the last day of school.
Oh, okay. I could do the 6th if,
I can just leave after the meeting.
20th is wide open for me, if we're willing to go back that far.
I'm fine with the 20th.
June
Does that work for
20th?
anybody? Yeah,
Sure.
that's so good?
Hold on.
Okay.
Phone number 2. My burner phone.
Oh yeah, I'm out of town the 6th.
You notice how Mark and I are wide open, right?
Shut up.
I just have to golf earlier.
Do not like either of you. So we're thinking the 20th?
Yeah, Jim, that's the day after Juneteenth. Were you going to take a 4-day weekend or anything?
I didn't even.
I can
didn't
make the
know that.
6th work if the 6th works for everybody
I
else.
actually can't because I'm out of town.
All right,
So the 20th then?
looks like.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are we doing, saying noon to 4?
Yes.
And we'll do goal setting then.
And I guess we find out if the fire station's open.
Oh.
If not,
Yep.
we'll-
Yep.
we can do it over there. If not, I mean, we have the new building will be up and
Right.
Oh, that's true. So
We
many
should, I think we
options.
should christen it.
There you go. It's got to bode well, right?
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on. Let's review and vote to reaffirm the Select Board Code of Conduct policy. Anybody have any questions or comments about
Nope.
said
mean,
Board of
yes.
Conduct?
look back at the year. I think we did a pretty good job following it. I was looking through it. We didn't really have anything that stood out or anything we needed to add. That was the only thing. We said we were going to review this every year for potential if we
Yeah.
thought we might need something. Maybe Jim might have seen something.
No,
might
it's
wanna
great.
change, but-
Well, although we did take some lashings at town meeting for people saying, we don't trust you. Just looking through the, kind of the crux of the code, I think that we have demonstrated professionalism and transparency and garnered trust. So I think, and as anything has come up, I think we've kind of addressed it. So I think
Seems like it.
we're in a good place.
I think the other thing that has become, that I thought was going to be hard, but actually has turned out to be good, is making sure that we go through Jim before we contact any of the town department heads or employees. That's become second nature now, and I think it makes a difference, and I think it doesn't slow things down the way I thought it might. So I'm pleased with that change.
Yeah, I haven't known any other way, but it's
Yeah.
worked well for me so far.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, Clerk. Mr. Clerk.
Oh, so you don't
Just
need that
discussion
no
dependent,
public
though.
censure session for anybody?
There's no motion with that, though. Is there?
I guess we do adopt it, so I guess. Move to approve the Town of Littleton Select Board Code of Conduct Policy.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I don't think we need
Aye.
to take action there if we're not changing it or moving away from it. But
Still in effect.
the motion was in there.
It would
so-
stay in effect till
Right,
whatever we
exactly.
stop.
Yeah. All right,
But if we were a new board, that wouldn't be the case.
Correct.
it's true.
Don't forget to get sworn in.
I did. You even beat me to that.
All right, department board updates. We've got the vote to authorize the town administrator to execute a contract with MJ Cataldo, Inc.
This is for the Wickham Field improvements and the Littleton, the tennis courts and Littleton Middle School. We were able to, because the bid by Mr. Cataldo came in under what was anticipated, and we're able to get both ad alternates in there with the dugouts and the fencing.
Wow.
So just eked it under the wire there, and that is before us for $900,000.
What was the budget?
922, not including, and on top of that is 132,000 more for Activitas. So the bricks and mortar budget was 922.
And that's what so it says the estimated construction cost inclusive was 922, and that's
That was the estimate,
That's the estimate.
but the actual was
We'll
900.
come in at 9, okay.
Right, with, including the two ad alternates.
Great.
And 16th is the first day of construction, June 16th.
I believe so, yes, sir.
Good
Fantastic.
to keep it in town with another business. That's great.
Yeah.
Everybody good?
Yep.
I'll take a motion.
Are we doing a motion on each one, or you want to go through?
Oh, sorry about
How do
that.
we want to, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Okay, do it that way. Move that the select board vote to authorize town administrator James Duggan to execute a contract with MJ Cataldo, Inc. in the amount of $900,000 for the construction of tennis courts and improvements to Whitcomb Field at the Littleton Middle School, inclusive of bid ad alternates 1 and 2.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have the J.P. Keating contract. Tell us all about it, Steve.
Good evening. Stephen Yalla, Director of Public Works. First thing I do want to say is there is a typo on the number. It's not 506. It's 527, 630. Copy and paste.
Okay.
I'll blame Ryan.
6:30 even?
Yes,
Thank you.
so I apologize for that.
It's in the memo from you, correct? Okay, got it.
527, 630.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, I just heard the motion.
So yes, back beginning of April, we advertised bids for road work. PJ Keating was low bidder at the 527, 630. Surprisingly, this is the most amount of bids on a project like this I've ever received in my career, 11 bids. Usually we get the 5 or 6. So very, very competitive market. When you look at the bid sheet, they were kind of grouped together. There were a bunch low, a bunch kind of medium low, one really high. I don't know what their story was. But I just asked for your approval tonight for this bid for road paving.
Do you have the locations on the website? Like the plan, the paving plan for the summer?
That will be up shortly. I did just receive the final version of that after some back and forth.
Okay.
But I do have a final version of that.
Do you have the plan for, not separate from Ernie's Drive in particular, but like a schedule for who, what roads are being paved?
Yep,
That's what I was just
This year,
asking.
next year, and so forth?
yeah, the update to the pavement management
Okay.
system includes a 5-year capital plan. Granted, I say there's always, things can move around a little bit, so I don't take it as set in stone, but
Yeah.
Sure.
I inevitably get 2 questions a year.
I got, obviously at the polls, that was,
Yeah.
our roads are in such good shape in the center of town, so.
Yeah.
But more so Russell Street, I was getting beat up on Russell Street,
Yep.
so is that
Russell
kind of
Street.
off topic, I think?
Yeah, no, I can happily answer that. Russell Street, honestly, at this point, we're waiting for confirmation from National Grid. They had 3 gas leaks over the winter, and they're contemplating a little bit of main work. So trying to coordinate with them if they are or aren't gonna do it.
Okay.
Just if they're
I can
off, if they're back and forth, is there a plan to go forward and just have them do UV when they do their work? Is that possible? It's definitely something that, especially now at the point, people just, that's a super highway now to get up to the point, so.
Absolutely.
To Gary's point, there was a number of people at the polls that, because they came in Russell Street, so.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
the 20-mile-an-hour superhighway.
Yeah, exactly. Right there.
Okay.
I move that the select board vote to authorize town administrator James Duggan to execute a contract with J.P. Keating, Inc. for resurfacing and related work at Ernie's Drive in various locations in the amount of $527,630.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Right. Next up, we've got the request to solicit donations to support the Clean Lakes Committee.
Yes, Madam Chairwoman and members of the Select Board, this is the necessary proposal for gift solicitation form for PRCE, and their goal for this year is to raise up to $5,000 for the CLC revolving fund. That was something that was discussed on efforts on Parks and Rec part to provide financial support, and this would be while they work to identify a more consistent source, because their rates have already been set, and so they wanted to be able to, here's the opportunity to raise some funds for this year, but in the meantime, they will identify a funding source to be able to add on to going forward consistently.
Is this in addition to the beach fees that we're going to be, I think when I went to a PRCE meeting and they said they were going to put in some beach fee that was part of the Clean Lakes. Is this something supplemental to that? They talked about doing both, so.
They did. I'm only aware that this is going to be the only source of funding for year one, the way the director had explained it to me when I asked, and I said, is this going to be just for the year one, or is this how it's going to move on? Just for this is the first year.
I guess the question I had is, at town meeting, these have to be voted on at town meeting to create revolving funds. I'm assuming this revolving fund already exists?
We
or-
created it at town meeting.
We created this one? I don't recall creating
Is
it.
that Clean Lakes revolving fund?
Oh, we
Yeah.
did. I remember the senior center one for the coffee
It might have
fund.
gone under consent. Did
Did
it go
it?
under consent?
Yeah.
Okay, that-
I think you're right.
Yeah.
It did.
'cause I knew we had the senior center ones for coffee and the.
Steve went up and kind of explained everything, and made everything not seamless, but
Okay, so
not smoother.
My only question was, it doesn't, so the revolving fund, I thought, the source had to be revolving funds, whereas this would not be. This is a one-time gift, but that's okay to put in there
Right,
anyway?
exactly. As a jumping off point or kickoff.
Prime the pump.
All right.
So I-
Prime the pump.
Well, thanks to the commission at Parks and Rec for moving this forward.
Good. Move that the select board vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, and per its policy on solicitation and acceptance of money and non-monetary gifts for public purposes, to allow the solicitation of donations to support the Clean Lakes Committee's revolving fund as established at the May 6th, 2025 annual town meeting.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're 3 minutes early for the public hearing, which is next on the agenda.
Take something out of order.
Anybody want to sing a song,
Do you have anything
Soft
small we
share.
can knock out?
That's what I'm
Do
just-
minutes.
We have minutes.
Do an appointment to the
or? Sure.
ZBA.
Yeah, we can do minutes. Did anybody have any changes for the minutes,
No, ma'am.
I did not.
corrections?
I didn't see any.
Okay, good. Move that the select board vote to approve the meeting minutes from the select board meeting on April 22nd, 2025.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
We
Now
can,
we're 2 minutes.
Do you want to do appointments?
well, we can do move to adjourn first.
Move that up.
Take that out of order. Yeah, we could do appointments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Is David Outman the first one?
Yes.
All right.
And
So
Dave-
we're appointing David Outman to the Zoning Board of Appeals. He's got his application form in here.
Outside the resume, does anybody know him?
No.
It said he was on the NACOG
I
ad
saw
hoc
that.
working group. Was that when you guys were on,
No,
or was
no,
that the
no.
one before?
That was, I think that was, those are the two groups that he was asking about.
I see.
He was not on the, he was
He
not
wasn't on them.
No,
Okay.
I don't think he ever was.
Okay.
And this is a full member, not an alternate, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, he's been on Cooper Farm Preservation
Yeah.
Committee and Open Space and Rec. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Well, thank you, Mr. Outman.
Move that the select board vote to appoint David Outman as a member of the zoning board of appeals for a term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, aye.
It's unanimous.
And then we've got Judy LaRoche to the Cultural Council.
All right.
Second.
Move that the select board vote to appoint Judy LaRoche as a member of the Cultural Council for a term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Stuff. Thank you, guys.
Perfect
And
timing.
Get sworn in.
There we go.
Yeah,
Get
thank
sworn
you.
in, and thank you. Next, we've got the transfer station fees hearing.
Can I just interrupt 1 second?
Of course.
Mr. Cataldo, I don't know if he's here we already did take action. Okay, public input. All right, thank you. We took action on the Whitcomb Field stuff. So.
Thank you for your bid.
Thanks.
Happy to do it. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
hearing though?
Yeah.
You got to read the hearing.
Gotta read
We have to read the
Oh,
notice.
For
sorry.
the clerk.
The hearing notice, you want to pull that up?
Yeah, I'll read it
Got
off.
it? Right, is that it?
Read the whole hearing, correct? The select board will hold a public hearing on Monday, May 12th at 7 PM at the Littleton Town Offices, room 103, 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Mass. On the proposed amendments to regulations and fees for the town transfer station effective July 1st, 2025, as shown below. Comments thereon may be submitted in writing to the select board at littletonmass.org or to the select board, town administrator's office, 37 Shattuck Street, room 306, Littleton, Mass. 01460, by noon on Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, or in person at the hearing. Littleton Select Board, at that time, Mark Rambacher, Chair.
I don't think you have to read the
I don't
fees.
need to read the fees. We have to, that's what we're going
It's
to be.
published.
Yep, so the rest of it is the fees as published for the 2025.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's open.
Yep. Thank you again, Stephen Yalley, Public Works Director. So the first slide, just kind of a look back over the last 4 years at the sticker fees. Back in FY '22, the annuals were 140 up to the current fee of 155. Second stickers have remained the same at 70. Senior stickers back in FY '22 were $70, dropped to 50, and then have been at 60 for the last 2 years. And then the second senior and then the replacement stickers have been the same for the last 4 years at 35 and 15 each. The bag fees, sort of similar, incremental increases stayed the same for a couple of years. Like the large bags that are the most popular ones, FY '22 were $325 a bag. Currently, they sit at $375 a bag as we went up last year, but they had remained the same at $350 for 2 years in between. Next slide is just kind of a look at the annual sticker sales. Pretty level. This year we had a little bit of a dip in the regular stickers for whatever reason. If you consider going from 736 to 706, a little bit of a dip. Senior stickers exactly the same. Second stickers in both regular and senior, more or less the same. And the replacement ones for people that lost them, got a new car, whatever it is, just marginal. Looking at the tonnage, we've had some pretty good increases since FY '22, where we were at 625 for solid waste tonnage. Last year, final number was 767, so pretty good increase. This year, it looks like we're gonna be somewhere around that same 750, 760 number, just kind of projecting out over the last couple of months. I didn't quite have April's numbers in yet, so I kind of had to estimate for the last 3 months. Same thing with recycling tonnage. We saw a little bit of a jump over the last 3 years. Again, projecting out, it looks like we're tracking pretty much the same as we were a couple of years ago, with a high point last year at 391 tons. I included this slide. I don't know if it ever been included before, but kind of the revenues, what the monies we're bringing in for bags and the sticker sales. I mean, obviously, you can do your own math on the stickers anyway. The bags, it's tough to track because we don't know what the retailers sell, we only know what the supplier sells to the retailer. So Aubuchon Hardware could have a, back room full of purple bags for all we know, but they paid for them, so that's the reports we get monthly from Waste Zero, which is the bag manufacturer. But seeing that, it gives a general idea. Last year, FY '24, sticker sales, $172,837, and we brought in $224,200 bag revenue. So coming into FY '26, looking to do a increase on the sticker fees, bag prices to remain the same because we went up last year, and just some small increases in 3 or 4 of the miscellaneous items, just due to the costs of what we're paying to dispose of the items. With that, the annual sticker I'm proposing to go from 155 to 165. The second sticker on the regular price to go from 70 to 80. Senior citizen sticker to go from 60 to 70. And then the second senior sticker to go from 35 to 40. Again, the bags are the same. And the other increases, just a dollar on disposal of a TV, computer monitor, that type of thing, from 24 to 25. The bulk furniture, which is, your sofas, that type of thing that go in the separate container, go from 30 to 35. And then mattresses, which is the big item. The costs are increasing because you have to go to a separate facility. They have to be recycled, mandated by the state. Ours, we take them, we're in contract with UTEC and Lawrence. So when the container's full, holds about 38 or 40, we gotta hook them up to Lawrence. And that fee to go from 40 to 50.
Anybody have any comments, questions?
Not specific to perhaps the pricing, but I know the single source is switching over. I know our recycling system in itself this year, correct, coming forward?
Yep.
Does that affect stabilization of prices? Do you have any idea how that's going to affect the way?
So really what that will end up saving when we consolidate, because now we just obviously got approved for another compactor at town meeting. Once I get that installed, I can consolidate a little bit more. What that'll do is honestly save us trips.
Hauling.
Where I'm hauling a container full of aluminum cans that weighs 7 pounds. I can couple that with plastics and other items to bring to Borica. That's where the recycling facility is. So I might cut my trips from, 2 to 1, 3 to 2, 3 to 1.
Okay.
So we'll see a savings that way.
Okay.
The contract for solid waste and recycling services is up the end of September. If you remember back, the stickers used to be end of September for some reason. My hope is with the next contract to better line up at the end of the fiscal year, so I can have a better idea of what pricing will be. The last few years, we've seen increases 5% solid waste each year, and then the recycling fluctuates. If I could bring in bills from 2 different days, it'd be 2 different numbers. So that market's all over the place. It's not,
It's a commodity.
we're not making money like we do, only on scrap metal. And even that's not great.
Yeah.
Chuck, any questions?
Yeah, I'm just doing some, quick math.
Sure.
The seniors are at 981, so with them going from 70 to 80 with a $10 increase, which we got a lot of noise when we went down for 1 year to 50, and then we went up, and we heard a lot about why did you go up on the seniors? People forgot about us going down for the seniors the year prior, but there's an impact. It's almost 300 stickers more for seniors than there are for non-senior households. So even if you were to absorb $5 of that increase into the non-senior households, you're still not making up the math's not going to work for you necessarily. So I was just trying to look at that and see if, what impact we could potentially have to benefit the seniors, because we're always looking for ways to limit their spending as much as possible. So I haven't come up with a solution yet, but keep noodling.
Can you talk about, do you have numbers for what it costs to operate the transfer station? Can you break that out in its own number? I'm just trying to figure out, is this income from the stickers and the bags neutral to, as far as like what it costs to actually move this stuff out?
Well, so the intent of the sticker fees, the bag fees, and then the hard thing to calculate is all the miscellaneous sales, because people do them online, and through Unipay, it comes up as like miscellaneous item with the fee. So it's tough to track what exactly, if it's a propane tank or a TV, that type of
Oh,
thing.
I just mean the aggregate of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course, I didn't bring any of that information with me. But obviously, your known factors are salaries. You know, we have electric bill, we have maintenance that has to go on, which is all broken down in my budget, but of course, again, I didn't bring any of that with me. And then the sticker and bag and miscellaneous fees are gonna help offset that, but then also should be cost neutral with disposal of everything, right?
Right.
So as I'm selling bags, the pay-as-you-throw bags are paying to dispose of the solid
Solid
waste. Stickers are offsetting some of the recycling, salaries, that type of thing. And then the miscellaneous items basically pay for themselves, you know, a load of wood, a load of brush, refrigerator,
Furniture, yeah.
whatever, you know, that all kind of just is net zero for the town.
But have you done that? Is that the case? Like, I know it's supposed to be that way, but does that actually work?
It does work.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not operating at a loss.
No, I'm not.
You're not making
And
money either.
Right.
When you look at the budget, it's almost inflated a little, but we don't spend the budget, so the revenues we're bringing in are covering the cost.
Okay. Okay, that's what thank you.
Mark, any questions?
So, just on the sticker fees, you sold basically close to 1,700 stickers, so you're gonna generate another $17,000 in revenue, basically. And that 17 is enough to cover your delta in costs, is what we're saying. So, if that's correct, then I'm okay with everything.
I just wanted to note that I did a little bit of math on first stickers. I didn't go through the second stickers, but, you know, if you look at the discount rate for seniors vis-a-vis the regular sticker, so back in FY '21, the senior sticker was $70, the regular sticker was $140, which would be a 50% discount. For the proposed FY '26 numbers, that discount is up to about 58%. So,
More of a discount than, and also it's the same price it was 4 years ago.
right.
I guess, like, I understand the reluctance of people to increase that number, but it's a cost of what you have to do to live here.
It's not
I guess.
necessarily proportionate to what we're
Yeah,
passing on to everybody
it
else.
does feel like.
Yeah, so I think, everything's relative, but I think once you put it into that context, it makes sense. I did have a question actually about single stream, though, a little off topic. Will this affect the organizations that sponsor recycling in the shed?
With, like soda cans and
Yeah.
stuff? Nope.
Folks will
Nope,
still be able to
shed
do
will
that?
still be there, people can sign up to run the weekend or run the days and take the cans for, be it the Boy Scouts or soccer teams or I think the Long Lake Neighborhood Association does it, or used to do it. That's still available.
Great, thank you.
Steve, are there any other, I know that at one point in time we were looking at mattresses as a potential revenue generator. Are there any of those ideas that have kind of panned out? I know introducing the roll-off truck to do the hauling and an additional compact, you're always looking at ways to try to make it more streamlined. Are there any other thoughts that you have? I know glass was something at one point in time you were talking about shredding or grinding. And
Yeah, the town had partnered with Groton some years ago,
Yeah.
and we were hauling at the time they were hauling the glass to Groton, and Groton was crushing it, and then we were taking it. It was a process, it sounded like. Really, I'm just looking to try to consolidate the operation a little bit, try to get people in and out quicker, by adding that extra compactor. We have the space for it, it's where the mattress compactor is now. It's already, utilities are kind of there, I just need the compactor and one more container, and I'm off and running. So you'll be able to come in, have your solid waste and basically all your recycling. We'll still have the cardboard dumpster, because that's, the most popular thing. Especially Christmas time, right? Amazon boxes. But then the other side we can have set up, even though they're side by side, can be set up kind of the same way. And that'll not only streamline people using it, but streamline, like I was mentioning earlier, our operation of less trips to Billerica, which I think everybody likes. I can say that as a Chelmsford kid.
Who wants to go to the record? Just picking up what you're putting down.
Have there been any talks of styrofoam days?
The problem with styrofoam, and I talked to Waste Management, their rep, if we were gonna just have a styrofoam dumpster, they will only take it if it's clean.
Pure.
So if it's got tape, if it's got glue, if it's got tape residue, if it's got, they're just gonna charge a solid waste price.
For the
It's gotta be-
entire
for the
line.
Container,
entire
yeah.
thing, yeah, it's gotta be clean.
I know like Westford does styrofoam days like
Yep.
once a quarter or something. I didn't know if we'd consider
Yep.
doing something like that, or if there's any way to do that.
We could do something like that, absolutely. Once I reconfigure and get rid of some of the extra dumpsters we have. We've talked to, I'll stray off topic, we've talked to the Black Earth folks with the food composting. You start to see the little cans at the end of the driveways around town, potentially partnering with them. We kind of had the first initial meeting and haven't really circled back, but there were 50 or 60 residents in town. We talked to them, as well as 4 businesses that are partnered with them for food composting. So that's something, I don't know if I necessarily want to introduce food waste containers at the transfer station, because that opens up other balls of wax, rodents mainly. But again, all things to consider.
Any comments from the public?
Do we have to close and then get public comment, or is public comment part of it?
Public comment first.
Anybody have anything to add? Public comment?
I think he's doing a good job, and I can tell you that price for a mattress disposal, I take a mattress to Devon's Recycling, I think we get back charged $150, so that's what he's doing. Let him keep doing it, because that's, really, seriously, he's saving the town money, which is great.
All right.
Doesn't mean you're gonna get a raise anytime soon.
Every year, he gets a raise every year.
Move to close the public hearing first.
Yep.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have to do roll call?
Typically,
Okay.
public
Yeah.
hearing.
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
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 Move that the select board vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No further discussion.
Yeah, sorry, I jumped the gun. Good. Move that the select board vote pursuant to Town Code, Chapter 181, to establish the following fee structure for the use of the Town of Littleton Transfer Station effective July 1st, 2025. Stickers, full price, $165. Seniors, $70. Second sticker, $80. Senior second sticker, $40. Per bag, 33 gallons, $3.75. 15 gallons, $2.75. 8.5 gallons, $1.75. And miscellaneous item fees for CRTs, TVs, $25. Propane tanks, $15. Bulky furniture, $35. Large metal items, $25. And mattresses, $50.
Second?
Moved by Gary, seconded by Matthew. Another roll call, or is this in?
I think you're okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. All right, we did the appointments.
Public input is next.
All right. Let's hear it. Who's got some public input? please state your name and address
Sure.
before
Hi.
starting.
Brian Tarbox, 16 Fletcher Lane. I sent y'all a note along with the Chief of Police and the Minister of the Unitarian Church about concerns about ICE. 2 nights ago, we got a message that ICE was snatching people over in Irish Court in Acton and asked for people to come and witness. A bunch of us came and stood around at a distance, not interfering with cameras, and the ICE vehicle had both a screen blocking its license plate and 100% tinted windows, both of which I don't think are legal in this state, from what I've checked.
Yeah, for law enforcement.
Okay. We've also seen a number of cases reported of bad actors pretending to be ICE people, kidnapping women and assaulting them. And yesterday in Akron, there was a rally attended by a number of people, including State Senator Eldridge, and he confirmed that they had seen that as well. And the question I pose back to the police department is, if I see someone with an unmarked vehicle, no badge, a mask, and no warrant, if I see one of y'all getting dragged into a truck, I'm going to try to intercede and stop them because I think you're being kidnapped. Because how can you tell a kidnapping from an ICE snatching these days? And so if it's happening in Acton, it's only a matter of time before it happens here. I've asked y'all to have some kind of town forum where we come up with a plan so we're not reacting, because it will happen here. And someone drives an unmarked van into some location in Littleton and starts dragging people into a van with masked men. What are we supposed to do? And it's already happening in our next town over. It's going to happen here. I think it's incumbent upon us to get ahead of this.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. Joe Cataldo, my daughter Laura Beckler. Just tried to get a little thank you going for our wonderful town employees. And I'm also here to talk about our favorite subject in town, crosswalks and sidewalks. And RRFBs, is that the right terminology?
Yep.
So, first of all,
Mr. Cataldo, if you could stand at the mic.
yes, I
Thank
just-
you. LCTV will thank you.
I'm sorry that these are the only ones that I have. We just got those tonight. So, good evening, board members. My name's Joe Cataldo. I live at 41 Robinson Road. First of all, I want to thank all the first responders from both the police and fire department who came to the rescue of my grandson when he was hit in the King Street, Foster Street crosswalk on April 29th. Fortunately, he only had road rash, bumps and bruises, and no broken bones, and he's doing well. It certainly was a scare for all of us. I talked with Town Administrator James Duggan, Chief Matthew Pinard. I have not talked to Chief Steele McCurry, but I've also spoken to Jim Asiero, our state rep, and my daughter and her husband have spoken with him as well. And wanted to thank them for their efforts in doing what's been done so far in that intersection with the painting and the signage and so forth. And I understand, talking further with James, that Mr. Duggan, that there is a plan to install the RRFBs in 3 sidewalks in town, but I'm here tonight to ask you to consider pushing Mass DOT for the crosswalks in the center, in the common. Some of those pictures my wife took this afternoon, my wife likes to walk downtown. A lot of the children from Robinson Road try to cross in the common area to go to school, and obviously with Northern Bank and projected 550 King Street, there's going to be a lot more foot traffic. So some of the problems are, there is some signage on in those pictures that you'll see. For instance, picture number 1 at Great Road and Adams Street, heading west on Great Road. there's one sign, and it's not clearly marked. There's another picture that shows a sign for the crosswalk ahead, and in fact, there's no demarcation in that crosswalk. Crosswalk at Meeting House Road and Great Road has a problem because if somebody steps onto the street at Great Road from Meeting House and people don't see that person in the crosswalk, cars try to go around to the right or to the left, creating a real hazard right there. And I think if there's, and maybe what, and I'm not a crosswalk expert by any stretch of the imagination. I'm wondering if maybe the board and Mr. Duggan can push Mass DOT to take this engineer one step further into the common and look at that. Maybe there's too many crosswalks too close together. I don't know. I know there's one proposed at Northern Bank, in front of Northern Bank, so that means there's going to be potentially 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 crosswalks in a very small area. I think the concern is, much like what happened at Foster and, well, it's Rogers and Great King Street where Jack was hit, there needs to be some type of flashing beacon, better demarcation, so forth. Really here to say thank you. We have great first responders in this community. Glad to see everybody's working hard to take this to the next level, but just wanted you to give it some consideration if you could. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Rob Brown's 25 Juniper Road, so I'll jump on the crosswalk. I forget whether I said it or not, but again, I appreciate everything done with the safety zone. But a couple things about the safety zone. The feedback that I got from 2 people on Goldsmith, particularly with crosswalks, was 2 individuals directly stating that within the week before I had approached them, that they were nearly hit going into the crosswalk crossing from the non-Long Lake side of Goldsmith to the Long Lake side. And so there continues to be a real concern. Goldsmith, just the speeds are just in excess, significantly in excess of what would be expected. And so it's a real safety thing. I've heard from 2 people privately. The other part, along with the aspect of the safety zone, because of 550 King and some of the statements I just heard, I wanted you to consider there is the capability, the same legislation that gave you the safety zone and the same approval that was done by the town vote in 2017. You have the ability, should you care to use it, to put in a 20-mile-per-hour safety zone along your along your town common, I think is the...
It's a state road. We can't do anything on it.
And state road excludes.
15 years.
All right.
We also don't,
Correction, I apologize.
If we owned an ice cream shop, we could
Wasn't
do
my
it.
intent, but you're correct. I mean,
I think we also can't change the speed limit there.
So that's
Yeah.
where I'll go back to just do a deeper dive, but I think you're correct. I'm sure you're correct. Apology.
We can advocate, but it's
Yeah.
we're
Yep.
dealing with the state.
By all means. So, moving on, the town meeting, I look forward to your agenda item tonight with your review of the most recent town meeting. I also just want to say that I'm concerned with regard to several of the comments that were made in response to Article 12. I thought it was problematic, and just want to put to you, or Tim Goddard, or somebody, I found it challenging with regard to hearing the sentiments. I recognize everybody's got free speech and the right to say things, but when somebody yelled for point of order, where I felt some view or some town officials were trying to, in effect, correct misstatements that were stated by the public, I think that's necessary. And so somehow to bolster and not have a contentious some procedure seems to me to be appropriate, because I know I was alarmed by a couple of people that commented about the upcoming Shaker Lane building, I think the DPW facility, and as people are kind of trashing upcoming items, I almost wanted to be like, well, wait a minute, where's the opportunity to rebut what's being said? And I don't necessarily think that's the way to go, but I just want to say that aspect of the town meeting concerned me. Second aspect that concerned me was the resounding defeat of Article 12. And so with that, I encouraged a public hearing, because I think there's a lot to be said out there. I think it was almost deafening how there was clapping after certain comments that were directed recommending that Article 12 be voted down, and it got voted down overwhelmingly. Concerns me because we have big items coming up, and big items that if the town doesn't go forward with them, then Shaker Lane rebuild waits 7 to 10 years as part of the information delivered during the school and the Shaker Lane meeting at 6 o'clock. So I'm very much concerned about those things, and I think there are potential ways out, but they also have aspects that need to be vetted and debated. But one aspect I've already been with the assessor asking questions is the deferral available to seniors over 65 years old. There's a program that allows it. It looks to me like it's capped with an income of 55 grand, and yet what I've done so far this week is determine that the legislature actually allows you to change it from that 55 cap to be equal to the amount of the circuit breaker in the state income tax, which is more like $72K for a single and almost $110K for a couple. Those would be, in my opinion, everybody can vote it, against it and say the property taxes are too high. I get that. That's a personal decision. But having a deferral program to offer up as potentially you could have a single at 72K and a couple at almost 110K and still be able to be eligible to defer any amount of your property taxes year after year after year and connect it to your house. It's a worthwhile program. It would require changes beforehand, but I'm trying to come up, and I'm going to start to work on consideration of solutions with regard to how we can offset some of the concerns that were voiced at that meeting, in the April meeting with regard to the Shaker Lane, the April meeting pertaining to 37 Shattuck Street. I think those are things out there, and I'd love to hear more of the discussion and not just the 3-minute time focus of I'm voting against this, et cetera, and some of the rhetoric that we got. But I'd love to have a legitimate public hearing to hear what people are, so we can be better prepared for what I think are very challenging requests of the public to vote override, something like that in the future. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Jim, on the subject of crosswalks in the common, is that part of what the grant Marin's going for will cover? We can get that in. I know Northern Bank had crosswalks in their plan. I don't know how we go about when Northern Bank is developed to actually, well, Northern Bank's going to have a sidewalk on their side. I don't know what their plan is when the sidewalk goes on the other side until that other side of the road's developed. I assume the crosswalk at Meeting House will actually end up going away because it's probably a dangerous crosswalk is what the state will say. But I don't know how we're going approaching these. And I don't know if we're looking for the crosswalks where we could control, like on Goldsmith, about putting in these RRFBs where we could.
To answer your question, yes. I mean, we had a meeting today, as a matter of fact, with Lapoli Companies, the town, and LELWD for the next grant, the one-stop application. And because we are an MBTA community, which makes us eligible for another funding round, other funding for grant availability. And one of the things that we want to do is really look at how highlighting the common and making it more user-friendly and how we can do that. Because as you connect 550 with the common, because you're also going to have 410 Great Road. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of enticement for foot traffic, for people to be around there, to shop the local shops, to go to 550 also. So that will identifying the safety areas such as the RRFBs, sidewalks, proper handicap accessibility on and off, things of that nature, that will be addressed. Absolutely.
And we probably, I think Mr. Cadaldo's idea of getting the engineer in earlier on whatever we can do by Northern Bank is a good one.
One question I have, and maybe you don't know the answer to this. So when the boy was struck 2 years ago on Route 2A in Acton, Acton was able to drop the speed limit from 45 to 40, and they policed that to this day. Groton Center, I believe, and I could be wrong, I think that might be 25 miles an hour. Now, those are both state roads, so
I don't think Groton Center is. I think Groton, it's not a state road. And we have petitioned, we have petitioned the state to lower the speed limit. They have agreed to lower the speed limit on from Middlesex to past Acton Toyota. I believe it's supposed to go down to 30 in that entire stretch. They are still looking at the transition areas beyond that. So there is something in the works there. It's just not finalized.
Through the chair. This is the fact that we don't have every single crosswalk with flashing lights doesn't make any sense to me at this point in time in that area. I mean, and we're not talking about a side road way down in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of sidewalks in town, but so what? Every one of them should have the flashing lights like Kimball's has, to me. Push a button, it's not active all the time. When someone's in the crosswalk, they push the button, and the lights come on. Everyone sees it.
Right.
It blows my mind that this has to go through what we have to go through. So, I would propose that we do control a lot of the sidewalks down there. The end of Goldsmith. We can start taking care of all of what we can control and immediately push this forward, because
The state has 50 feet.
do they?
Yeah.
Then it's just going to take a lot more force from us.
Yeah,
This
a lot
is,
more noise from us.
and if we have to use 550 King as, like you just mentioned, then we're about to have a population boom of walkers.
Yeah.
Not just that live there, but we're enticing people to come to Littleton to walk around to our commercial businesses. What are we doing? And it's just frustrating.
I'm having a hard time understanding the state's interest in signage or changes that don't impact traffic flow. So, what they're proposing putting in right now has no impact on traffic flow whatsoever. It's an awareness signal, and the fact that we have to go through the state and beg Mother May I, or Mother Will You, is,
When one of our citizens is in a crosswalk.
yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. I would love to understand why, or whether there's any interest at the state level about increasing some sort of autonomy for localities and on state roads to make changes that have no impact on traffic flow. I understand, that they don't want us putting in stop signs and red lights, but
A walker on the road.
a flashing light
advisory signage, even if, we could put our own pedestrian ahead.
Even that doesn't do it. The lights, the flashing lights get you.
at Kimball's. It
And
does.
I've been going on a Kimball's at an hour 45, because that's the stretch of road you're in.
Yeah.
Boy, you see those lights, and you slam those brakes on as soon as you see them. So, and people are more distracted than ever now.
Yeah.
And it's just, and we've got, yes, the common has the sun setting and the sunrise. That's enough of a problem, but just in general, there's so much going on, and there's only going to be more. I think we really, I don't want to say we just kind of push it forward and we say this is really an issue, but maybe we do something where we all sign it, and this is almost like an emergency situation that we're talking about.
I think Jim made a good point, though. I think that 550 and Great Road, and then Northern Bank and 410 is a golden opportunity for us to push through
Take advantage of,
some
if you will,
significant
but-
changes in safety. I think that, there's a lot of money involved. Clearly, there's grants that we're going to get, and people doing a ton of development and bringing pedestrians in,
Yeah.
we should like absolutely take advantage of that to like push an agenda for making it safe for bikers and pedestrians downtown.
And we're also, we should have, by the middle to the end of the summer, we will have the traffic study for the development of 550 and so there, as they progress in their infrastructure improvements, that's taken into consideration for proper lighting, signage, sidewalks, accessibility, things of that nature. And we're just trying to partner with them in the common area and identify those areas, because we know it's going to be, as we just discussed, it's going to be a tremendous opportunity. For example, yesterday, if 550 was built out and we had the town common open, gorgeous day, Mother's Day, and it would have been
Yeah, the plant sale and
Plant
everything.
sale.
absolutely. I mean, it would have been amazing. So, and that is absolutely the goal of what we have internally as we plan to make common the improvements to the common.
So when we're talking improvements to the common, are we also talking what to do with Stephen Street and Meeting House Road? Because those just become almost dangerous again too, right?
Yeah. Yes, that has got to that's got
The
to
whole thing
include.
has to be.
Well, I mean, if you look at the picture that we just saw, the overview of the whole common, and you can see the, I don't know, let's say 10 crosswalks in the common district.
Yep.
I just don't understand why we're not talking about every one of them needs to have a flashing light.
But
What's the-
let's not forget that. So when this is probably going to be the first hard impact it's going to have in terms of an evaluation of road improvements in that area that's been in a long time. So they'll identify and they'll examine all the different, what is currently standing, what the reconfiguration is going to be, what the traffic count going to be, number of different factors, data points that are put in place. Then they're going to propose and say, okay, we're going to do a flashing one here, we're going to do one here, we're going to do one here, we're going to do one here.
Okay.
So that is still information that will be presented to the select board, and as part of that development process and the planning process. So 100%, there will be a public hearing for people for their input.
I mean, this to me is a public hearing, an action
Right.
that makes a public hearing to me, but
Without a
just
doubt.
having, some things you just don't need a public hearing for.
Right.
This is so common sense to me, it drives me crazy.
Exactly, and I'm not kicking the can down the road, but also, if I quite honestly, I really think, and I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here, but I think if we are looking at major improvements that are in the near future, I don't believe that the state at this point is going to invest that type of money into the RRFBs. I could be wrong, but I think if they do a first stage and they'll at least do what they've done just recently in those 3 intersections. The engineers went out, they made sure that they cut back anything, they put the new signage, they painted the crosswalks, and try and bring attention to that area and not have it just blend in as much. I could be wrong.
It
We'll
works a
continue
little,
to
Jim, it
go
works
for it.
a little bit.
I-
But I'm telling
with
you, that same exact intersection, as someone that's, drives it every day, like most of
Yep.
us, it doesn't really look any different. I notice a little bit more paint on the road, but when
Yeah.
you're coming east, you don't see that paint till it's too late.
Yep.
So, I don't know, that just doesn't do it for me, so.
And Northern Bank's
Well-
well underway, and their plans have for crosswalks, but I don't know the state has plans to put the
Well,
beacons out there.
I guess I think if we don't, I would like to have a letter from us, a sense of, a more sense of urgency to that area, because this is not going to end well. This isn't going to get better. We're going to be waiting on grants and the Lapoli property to build out and get the infrastructure bills and
Yep.
draw more attention to that. And
Yes, sir.
meanwhile, the issues are still there.
The state is already, they're getting back to us in the next week or so about those three
yes.
locations, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
And then, I guess, when we talk about, the state and the grants, do we think that they would be waiting until after this construction is over? Because the construction itself is a huge hazard, right? So
The
if-
development,
That's all
So when we're
infrastructure.
talking about the traffic study and we're talking about, the state will go and reevaluate the whole, the common and the curtilage are they going to come back and say, okay, well, once Sal's done,
No.
then we'll start, then we'll do this?
It's kind of like on parallel tracks.
Okay.
Similar to the Point, when Sam Park was building out the Point, yeah, but the plan was in place, although the construction was going on, and you're right, it was on parallel tracks, so that there were turn lanes and traffic signals that never were there before that were planned.
Okay, good. And you had something to say? Yeah.
Hi, Laura
Sorry.
Beckler, 33 Robinson Road. We're talking a lot about 550 now and a development that is to come, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to forget our youngest citizens in this town.
Right.
I mean, the crosswalk that was, where the accident was, it joins our two parks in town.
Yep.
Right, so we're talking about the common, we're talking about businesses, and I appreciate that, I live on the common, excuse my emotion. But our students, our children, should be able to have a safe space to go from playground to park, to walk to school, to meet a friend, to ride a bike. And it concerns me that we're now talking about a development that's coming down the road and focusing on the common, when I believe that our common should extend to our playgrounds and our parks. One of the firefighters who helped my son on that day said to me, our playground is in the worst possible place. We are a cross through, right? 495 to 495. We have so much traffic that comes through our town. I've lived nearly my entire life in this town. I just realized after my son had the accident that it's 35 miles per hour through that crosswalk, a crosswalk that is easily hidden by many, from many citizens in this town. So it just concerns me. I just want to make sure we're not overlooking that crucial area and forgetting about our youngest citizens while we're talking about the business and what's to come.
So I think, if I may, I think we're talking, you hear skipping over because we've seen the communication from the state
For
that they're already
the
on
one you're
those.
talking about, we're working, that one's.
They're
being
on
worked.
That's in process.
And we're going to be hearing in the next week or two about what their timeline is, and it should be much sooner than all the other things we're
Great.
talking.
Okay.
So,
but
yeah,
they've already-
absolutely.
there is a larger
Committed
picture.
to
Those are
putting a
coming
beacon
first.
at that location.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think everybody realizes there's kids that's
Yeah.
chock full of kids every day.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get to school.
Why didn't we do
and-
it sooner?
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
I would just encourage also, I think you said we can ask about the speed limit. Great that it's happening on 119, but I think that area as well. I mean, for anyone that saw the skid marks, they're like 35 miles per hour is really fast through there.
Especially with
So
a full truck.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes. So I just wanted to make sure that we were remembering that piece too. Thank you.
Kids are
Thank you.
definitely important, but there was a fatality there about 15 years ago
There
at
was.
that crosswalk.
No, it was at the end of Robinson.
We removed that crosswalk.
It was at,
No,
it was
no,
at,
no, no.
Crosswalk was, there was, when I was a child, there was a woman, a mother in town, who was hit at the crosswalk, what is
Mary
now
Ellen
the
Henright.
Littleton Historical
Yeah, at
Society.
the other end.
It
I
was,
went to a
it was
funeral.
moved about, I don't know, 30 feet?
Right. And the reason, the person that hit her never saw her. She was heading westbound. The sun was in her eyes.
Yep.
Never saw Mary Ellen crossing the street.
it was,
Never hit her brakes.
it was at the end of Foster, across to,
Correct.
near the
And
Congregation
it moved,
Church.
you're right, it moved
Yeah.
down towards 300 King
Yeah,
Street, so,
yeah.
and, I mean, certainly the kids are a huge priority, but there has been a fatality at essentially that same location, and Gary made the point about you can't always see them, and part of it is because of topography, but part of it is because we have east-west facing roads that the sun blinds you.
I know you don't want to spend the evening debating sidewalks, but one thing you might push the state to do is, I believe it was approximately 40 years ago that the whole center was redesigned, and that was to eliminate Stevens Street as two-way, and now it's one-way. But now, given the influx of everything that's going on in the center, I think you need to ask the state, you need to look at us as one big picture here with everything that's happening as one piece. I know you said, Jim, they're gonna run parallel, but I feel like the study's gotta be, they're gonna put their arms around everything because it's time again. You know, it's 40 years.
Sure is.
So, anyway.
If we do include 410 Great Road, Joe, to that point, 410 Great Road, Napoli also owns that house, I think it's 410 King Street, maybe? The yellow house that, next to the Shell station. And that potentially will be the access if that property is developed into housing or whatever it happens to be. My guess is that that would be access to King Street for that property, 410 Great Road, instead of coming down Great Road and banging a left into that
And if
slope.
if it's
So there's-
helpful,
It has to be a broader reach.
right, if it's helpful for your board to get community support with a petition or something like that, I know a young lady that's got a lot of energy that'll get behind that, so we can certainly
I've seen
get
a
a bunch
petition
of
kicking
signatures.
around.
Yes,
Yep.
so, but thank you all tonight.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd be curious to see what Steve thinks, Jim, about different colors on our crosswalks that we do have control over, like on Goldsmith. You see it in other towns where the crosswalks, instead of just pavement and white, they're blue and red or
Really?
multicolor to catch people's eye.
Or reflectives on it, just a million different things.
Yeah.
It was,
So-
the town clerk from Stoneham was Mary Ellen's brother.
Yes.
That's why they did it.
That's right. Did a good job.
John Hanwright.
Sure.
Yes, he does.
So on that point, my granddaughter played in Westford recently for a lacrosse game. The optical illusion of their painting, I don't think it was blue and white, but they were wider
Chris Stoddard did this.
crosswalks, and we were stunned. My wife and I both said, I thought that was gonna have
A speed bump.
I thought it was, but it didn't. But it made us think we were going to hit a speed bump. There were multiple utilizations of pretty dramatic painting that really gave, even as
Shadowing.
we're going over it, and our
Interesting.
mind knows we're not going over speed bump, it made us pause as if, and cars will stop for when they think they're about to lose control and go over speed bump.
Until you realize it.
Thank you. Yeah.
But Chris Stoddard, our previous Steve Yonley, he practiced that a little bit behind the DPW yard at the gas pumps. He practiced the shading and how to create those faux speed bumps for crosswalks.
Westford has it very local. We want to take a drive-by.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Mr. Cataldo.
Glad Jack's doing okay.
Okay. All right.
Good conversation.
Member input. You want to start, Gary?
Yeah, sure. Thank you once again, everybody, for attending town meeting. It's always a great form of government. We get to, to Rob's point a little bit, it is a time for people to speak. As town officials, we kind of have to, we take it, but I think, you bring up some good points about maybe comments that are not directly relative to the subject, the warrant that's being discussed. You do see it. People go so far off track because they're so passionate, and I understand that, but I really think we can do a better job about reeling people back into the version. Tim catches it a lot, but sometimes it's just so much.
Yeah.
So more discussion. I know there's going to be a after-action review, I think.
Murder board.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank the Touch a Truck people, the plant sale people, the election. Thank you, Littleton, for putting your trust in myself again for another 3 years. But there was a lot going on, and on Saturday, and not the best weather, but we made it through. Yeah, that's all I have. Look forward to another 3 years.
Yeah, I'll jump on the back of Gary. We wouldn't be able to have the polls, the elections, without all the people that volunteer and all the people that work the polls. So, yeah, hats off to them. Unfortunately, they weren't that busy. We had about 1,200 people-ish show up, which is about 15% of our registered voters, which, we hear a lot, we get a lot of grief, but we have a lot of apathy. So, and we're working towards communication and trying to find ways to reach people. And
Well, now that you can mail in, I mean, you'd think everybody would vote, right?
yeah, well, yeah, but I did want to say thank you to all those that do show up, first of all, and all those folks that do help us pull it off, and to Diane and her team. A couple things that it's really not an update, and obviously Touch a Truck and the different things that happened, and all the department heads that did show up at Touch a Truck to make it a great event. From what I understand, it was very well attended regardless of the weather. I mean, it was really well attended. Talked to some folks that did work it. But a couple things I just want to kind of keep on our radar is, for the future agenda item, Madam Chair and Mr. Durkin. 31 Shattuck Street, status, what's kind of what the plan, again, you go to the polls and people come up to you and they have a laundry list. Pave Russell Street. 37 Shattuck Street, I think Rob brought up, now what? Let's do some outreach and get some input. The cannabis license that's out there, I know that there are people that are interested in giving us letters of interest. I think we should address that because there's some money on the table there that we should be jumping on. I think we should get a town seal on our podium right there. That just stared at me while I was writing my notes down. And also an update on the whole grommet situation. I've heard from people that grommet's been up at Whites Hill Woods, and I think we put down the edict that grommet was not allowed on town property. So I think that needs to be reviewed, revisited.
That wasn't part of the decision.
Are you certain?
Yes. It was, off of the owner's property, had to be muzzled and on leash.
I thought we said not on town property.
No, we said that he could only be loose on his owner's property.
Right,
But other than that, he had to have a muzzle on.
right, and on a leash. I circled the decision to the select board. When a neighbor or someone had expressed concern that.
Can you send that back to me again?
Yes, sir.
Just so I can address it with the folks that have addressed it with me.
Yes, sir.
But I do think, the cannabis license is something we should be looking at sooner than later. And we've had letters of interest, and we should start having those people come in. And if we can get another active license, not that it's, it's kind of plateaued a little bit maybe, but if someone's willing to open a shop and we can get 3% of whatever the revenue is, and they're expecting to get a few $1 million in revenue, let's take 3% of that. That's all I got.
So I wanted to thank everyone that showed up to town meeting and the election as well. As Chuck said, we didn't get a great turnout, and I think this was the first time we actually had more mail-ins than people show up. So that just could have been that they didn't want to say hi to Gary and myself. But I also, on a different note, I attended the meeting with Clean Lakes and DCR a few weeks ago, where they were talking about a potential plan going forward. There was a lot of discussion about dredging versus eco-harvesting versus herbicides. So that's all I have. There was really no conclusions other than dredging is hard.
I was going to just mention how pleased I was at the fast response to the crosswalk and impressed. It has not been my experience that the state moves quickly, that Mass DOT moves quickly on anything. So the fact that literally the next day,
They were out there.
in the morning, I walked out and that had been restriped, I was like, wow, they really did that.
Yeah.
So that was great, and I want to kudos to Jim and Matt Pinard and Steve Yonley
Yeah.
and anyone else who was involved in rousting them.
Jim and Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just on the orchard front, the water has been turned on to the barn, and the pump for the well was supposed to be installed today, but there was too much water, ironically, too much water in the well because of all the rain we've had, so they're rescheduling for Tuesday. Next Tuesday. That's all I got.
Okay. Just like everyone else, thanks to everyone who voted. Thanks to everyone who attended town meeting. Thanks to Diane and Andrew and LCTV for the coverage of the town meeting, and also to the poll volunteers for Election Day. I wanted to, I guess, congratulate Gary and Mark on their re-election.
Both of us?
Both of you, yeah. And then I wanted to congratulate Kristen McManus. She was featured on WGBH for Teacher Appreciation Week. And I don't know how many people saw it, but her picture was huge and right there on the side of the building downtown. And it was just great to see a great teacher from the high school getting the recognition that she deserves.
Great,
so.
yeah.
And then I also, we received a letter from the Clean Lakes Committee. I wanted to let everyone here know that Clean Lakes Committee sent a letter thanking Jim and us and Mark, you, for your help in supporting Clean Lakes this year, and particularly in helping to get a funding source put together. And that's all I've got. Jim?
Really just aside from the meeting that we had today regarding 550 King Street and the Common, I am going to start, I'm going to take Ryan's spot with the Shaker Lane School, and that meeting, the next meeting is on Wednesday. Thank you very much, Chairwoman Morrison, for the reminder today. And we have the ribbon cutting, obviously, on Friday the 16th for the Center on Shattuck. And there was an extension of time I just signed today for King Street renovation project that so people will be, the departments will be moving in there in June.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, looking forward to a lot of good stuff.
Just out of curiosity, I think I mentioned this too. Is there going to be a plaque, through Madam Chair? Is there a plaque going in that building?
In 36 King or over Center on Shattuck?
Yeah, 36K. I know there's a plaque over there. Is there one going in at Shattuck too?
I don't
Identifying
know.
it as municipal property, that's all. I mean,
I don't know. I will,
There's no-
I will confirm that.
36 King, yeah. What's the identification of the building being a municipal owned building? That's all.
I will,
Town Hall Annex.
I will let you know and share it with the entire select board.
Thank you.
That's all we've got for updates.
Yes.
I think the next thing on the agenda is
We've already done it.
discussing town meeting.
Post-town meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
And it touched on it.
I think, I'll kick it off. I think it's no secret that I was disappointed with how 12 went. Of course, you've got to respect what everyone's opinion, respect the vote. I think it was an opportunity missed. I think when you've got an opportunity to run some information to ground, when you've got an opportunity to come back with more information versus less information and make decisions that are more informed versus less informed, I think that's the way to go. So I'm sorry to see that didn't go the way that we wanted it to, but otherwise I thought it was a pretty smooth meeting.
To that end, though, it gave us a lot of information. I mean, it gave us a lot to talk about and think about and to deliberate about and get more information out there and try to gather more information and better inform people, so that there's not that apathy or that I don't know what to call it, ignorance, but if people aren't as informed as we'd like them to be, then that's incumbent upon us to try to get them to that point.
Yep, absolutely.
I would say from that, sort of like we did after the Orchard no vote, we acted. I think this is a point of action for us where we really need to move forward with showing, kind of some of the things we mentioned before, what it's going to cost to renovate, potentially knock down, build here, for future need, future purposing, things like that. Even the layout, I don't know what the layout currently is as soon as everyone's in that building and everyone's in that building on the other side of town. What's the plan? Where are people vacating to? Where are people moving? I'd just like to see kind of I know you probably have some idea, but where, we haven't discussed it as a board of where people are going or what people are,
And
what
to add on
office
to,
space.
and to add on to that, are we mothballing floors, sections of the building?
Yeah.
And what do we expect that to do for the building? And what does mothballing mean? Can we turn off utilities?
Yeah, and this is our control, right? This building?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely, with that, I'm just saying be more active with that because of that vote, understanding the vote, and moving forward with things we probably would have moved forward with anyway, regardless of the vote, but.
Exactly. Even if the vote was positive, we were still going to be here for another 4 or 5 years anyway. So we would still have to take appropriate steps to, as Mr. Rombacher said, that we can, our goal is to mothball the two ends and keep our operations within the middle as much as possible. There may be some spillover a little bit, but that is what we want to do. And to your point is, in regards to action, part of the one-stop application, we've got $250,000 we're going to include in that for design, feasibility, analysis, and study of 37 Shattuck Street. So that data we will taken the appropriate steps to present data, and we'll have that information going forward, moving forward through the one-stop program on application.
Jim, who's here besides Town Hall? The preschool? Is the preschool here
Yes.
still, and the club?
The offices down on the first floor will move up to the second floor. And there's, I understand they're down on the first floor of the same building, but it's just, there's better synergy, there's better communication, there's better flow. They'll be on the second floor with the finance team, with the accountant, the clerk, things of that nature.
But these are things we haven't even discussed. I didn't even know, the pre-K, I didn't know that was moving. I had no idea.
They had no place to move it over to 36 King Street, so it's like, okay, then you can stay here, but, take the space downstairs, which was fine. And I thought I had said that in an update.
you mean-
So
months ago.
preschool's moving down, and the club, are they staying where they are, or are they moving as well?
The
club, the
Teen club.
teen after-school program?
The one that's on the
Second floor.
That's on the third floor or the
Third floor,
Is it?
right?
third floor rear.
I think that they're moving to 36 King
They're going
Street.
to, okay, but,
Right.
so the only
But the
ones that are
preschool is gonna
staying
be
is
here.
preschool, okay.
Right.
Is it possible to have, I don't know, the departments that are going to be using this space, and I know we've had some conversations during the budget process with Eric about moving up to the second floor,
Right.
and I think it would be good for all of us to know what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah, just like, because
Even at a meeting or what have you, it doesn't have to necessarily be in a email summary. It just, I think it'd be good to be on TV, and other folks will know too, because if they have to come in for a permit, one of the primary reasons that we moved the building department down to the first floor is right off the driveway, right off the parking lot, right off the driveway, not tracking mud and contractors coming in and out, tracking the mud.
Their own entrance and
Yeah.
their own private entrance, basically, where they can't access the rest of the building.
Right.
Before hours or after, yeah. And another thing, as Clyde said at the meeting, we should determine what the use of the multipurpose room will be going forward. So,
Yeah.
if we're gonna put it in the rotation of rooms, it can be reserved and used.
And then there's still discussion of the parking out front with the slanted line, as a
Yeah,
study
I
going.
will have a couple drawings of different options for that.
Oh, yeah,
Because
that
that's
was in
going
your
to be done
update
this
on
summer.
Friday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So that's going to be done in-house by DPW.
That kind of got us sidetracked off at town meeting, I guess.
It did, a little
That's
bit.
that was the big
But-
vote, right?
right.
The rest of it kind of went, the cannabis
expected.
vote, was it? You always look at the no votes, or the ones that get, in that one, wasn't our article, so that one, the town voted. I haven't really heard much conversation from, the planning board,
I'm sure they'll discuss it.
but what the future looks like for
We
that.
must have done a great job with the budget, because no one held any items.
Yeah, so, it was a great presentation, I think, Steve, FinCom setting the standard for future meetings, future town meetings, really helped. I think people that, if town meetings, if they don't watching this, and town meetings the only snapshot they get, that's a good prequel to what they're voting on, so I think that might have helped a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
I think I wanted to talk about Article 12, but at a larger context of what happened with the Orchard and what happened with MBTA. And it's, my frustration at, low information voters showing up on town meeting night. And I'm not disparaging that. I understand that people don't have time to look into the issues the way they do. I think that the problem is we or volunteers spend hundreds or thousands of hours researching a topic and coming up with the best solution, to have it sort of derailed at the last minute because of an emotional plea. And it is very frustrating, and I think that we are doing all we can to expose information to people. Like, we can't literally, I don't know what else we could do in order to give them what they want, but I wonder if the charter committee will come up with a recommendation for representative town meeting, so that hopefully you have more informed people there, although it might be the same 200 people, I don't know. But I wonder if, I keep thinking that there must be some way we can pre-answer those questions or derail the sort of, the biggest frustration was the people claiming that we were not transparent.
Well, this doesn't help, though. I will let you know.
No, well, so that was a very complicated article, and I think that there was legitimate confusion about all the three motions, and I think it was very hard to explain, and I understand that, but I think the tendency of people to complain that we are not honest and not transparent or corrupt, it boggles my mind. I mean, I don't know how much more transparent we could be. Like, none of those people who are accusing us of that have ever talked to me or any of us, I bet, to ask us any questions about any of these issues. And I'm pleading with the residents to just, for freak's sake, talk to us. None of us has any secrets about any of this stuff. We'll talk your ear off about it. And I wish there was some way that we could get that word out in advance of town meeting, so that the four people who sort of stand up and constantly accuse us, could at least get, I don't know.
To me, the thing that concerns me the most, people can say what they want to say, whatever, but there's a reason that there are blank slots on our ballots.
This is true.
I mean, and part of the reason is because the folks who do go to town meeting, and even the folks who don't, I mean, we all know it. You say, oh, how do you spend your time? Oh, I'm on the select board. Ooh. We all know that look. And I think I am a big believer in being skeptical and asking questions, but I also believe there is a direct correlation between the amount of abuse that is, thrown at people, volunteers, and the lack of volunteers.
Yeah.
And I wish that folks would think twice about that, and for them to come back and say, we don't trust you, or I do trust you, but I didn't trust the people before you. Well, how are you ever going to get anybody you trust if you're undermining the people that you're saying you do trust right now? Yeah. It's tricky. I don't want to make this a catharsis, some sort of catharsis or something, but it's we do have a crisis in terms of volunteerism in this town, and it's not going to get better as people get busier. And I think we really need to think about how we're going to tackle that.
I mean, take solace in the fact that there are people that put trust in us by voting for us to put us here. So
yes,
that means something. When I'm at town meeting, especially, because that's the one where you get lambasted the most, unpopular articles. I think that's the time where you can really rely. You elected us to make decisions. The body elected us to make decisions, the citizenry, and we make those tough decisions. And there's no possible way I would ever expect everybody to agree. It just cannot ever happen. So I expect. Initially I think I was shocked when I first started.
You were.
But I've grown, to understand that you can put as much information as you can out there. But I will say with Article 12, I think I was sat in your office and I had a bad feeling about it from the get-go. I thought I felt the pulse of the people saying this was not going to pass, and so knowing that's kind of why you heard me. I was skeptical of it the whole way, where I didn't think we should. I thought it was premature to put it forward, because if nothing else, and you're always going to have those people that will complain no matter what we do and how much we show. If we could have absolutely ahead of the game spent the next year showing what it costs, what it would cost to put a building here, what it would cost to tear it down, what it would cost, what it looks like to put it here. Here's what it would cost, Littleton. And then, how fast do we really need it? Do we need it? Some people just say, well, we've got a school, that was brought up in DPW. Unfortunately, we have a lot of infrastructure things that we need to get done, and the state's not exactly pouring money into us to help us with schools and things like that. I think we really have to work really hard to explain to people before it gets to town meeting. Because this was a very difficult article. If we look at the commonality of those articles that, between the Orchard was just a very passionate article. But if I look at the MBTA one with this one, they were complicated. And this being complicated last second, where people might have read this for the first time as they walked in that room, I think was the kiss of death. If it was ever going to pass anyway, I think that was the kiss of death.
I think it was, I don't think, I think even if you have a bad feeling, if one thinks it's the right thing to do for the town, one should still try to get it out there and give it a shot. But two, it was either going to be rushed or it's going to be too late.
That's fair, yeah.
It's very rarely are we ever, congratulated on the fact that we had perfect timing.
Yeah.
And a pitch perfect, article, but it was rushed, right? And I think, but again, I think the question was it going to be rushed or was it going to be too late?
So I agree with you, Gary, that the green sheet wasn't ideal, but Karen and I had a lot of discussions about getting to that green sheet because we didn't feel comfortable what was printed in the book. And we tried to get to a point where we thought, we felt comfortable, and at least the board felt comfortable compared to what was in the book. The green sheet was a result of a lot of hours. I can tell you that.
I think actually that was a great change. That swung me from being pretty ambivalent about it to let's do this. This is great. We can go forward and get information and not be committed to anything, and we have the safety net of town meeting has to vote on another article. I thought that was a really good compromise. So I think that was a huge success as far as what we ended up with.
It's just a shame we didn't have more runway.
It was also unfortunate that it was so complicated and so many moving parts.
Yeah. But we did. We went from 3-2.
Well, I think that this building, if I learned one thing, people are a lot more passionate about this building than we thought. There is a segment of population that likes driving through some of the other communities, and they see the brick buildings, and they've got all these beautiful brick buildings that they've restored. So and this is our only one. Yeah. So I think there's something to that, to a lot of the voters, and at least the people that spoke to me. But at the end of the day, we got to move forward with what we're left with.
Yeah, and similar to the Orchard, folks are invested in the brick. Then we'll run it to ground. We'll find out can we keep the brick? Can we keep the shell? What would happen? Yeah.
So one of the problems with what you were suggesting, Gary, of going through and finding out how much it would cost to do X, Y, or Z is we really don't know if we're doing it by ourselves, right? We would know how much it would cost to build a town hall. We don't necessarily know how much it would, if we gave this building over, how much it would.
That complicated things for sure.
It complicates things, and it both in the process and in the cost, right? It could, be significantly cheaper for us.
A great example is 36 King Street. The difference between what we thought it was going to cost to renovate and what came in was large. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, we said, next time we got to go back with a bid in hand. Yeah. And this was an attempt for us to go back to town meeting with a bid in hand. We did exactly what we said we were going to do. Oh, well.
That's a great point.
It's, we are, I think we're being effective and making choices and following through, but
don't get hung up on your losses.
Yeah, we'll keep plugging away.
I'm fine. I said to Jim afterwards.
Learn from it.
I said afterwards, welcome to Littleton. It's fine.
Oh, you know what's best? Just go watch some other town meetings on YouTube. And you'll be like, oh, wow.
5 nights worth.
I don't want this to come across as this sounding like us griping and doing nothing but griping. What I really am focused on is I do wish there was a way for us to impress upon people how open and available we are for conversations about this. I like when people disagree with me.
Yeah.
Not enough people come to me and disagree with me about things and talk to me about it, and I would welcome that, to hear that ahead of town meeting, honestly.
When are your next office hours?
2 weeks, I don't know.
Rob, can you keep it to a minute or less? All right.
Thank you, Marge Payne. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, right?
So, a couple things. You may remember that I was there at Super Saturday, and for all but the last hour, maybe.
That's when we did all the big work.
What's that?
That's when we did all the big work.
Yeah, well, and I raised my hand. I remember Steve looked at my hand, saw it, and said, "We're not taking public comment." So, with regard to a comment earlier in this discussion about the annual budget not getting comment, I've had a difficult time trying to figure out when FinCom's holding a public input, and I choose to not do it at town meeting. I'm not going to stand up there and elongate all that. But I think something does need to be done and make available with regard to citizen questions, et cetera. And so it's another round for me with regard to, like, whether it's MBTA or whatever, the Orchard, et cetera, or what's going to come up in the next votes with regard to the infrastructure needs. I think holding public hearing maybe 2 months out. We already know there's going to be a Shaker Lane. We know there's going to be a building, a DPW building. There's going to be probably another, this building, et cetera. If you hold public hearings a couple months in advance, before it happens, before the article's written, et cetera, you're giving, I would then feel more comfortable basically saying, I respect your opinions, but where were you? Because they're trying to get your input, and you didn't give them the opportunity. And there's almost, as Chase, said, point of order, et cetera, with regard to the conflicting. I'd love to hear some of those contrary viewpoints in order to then work up a series of citizens to combat the 5, 6, not that it might change their mind, but to offer, wait a minute.
With all due respect, Rob, that's already been deliberated. We've already gone through multiple meetings where all of those points and counterpoints have been deliberated. It's incumbent upon the resident at some point to pay attention.
Well, you're bringing...
Not to educate themselves at town meeting because and bring up something that we've already discussed.
I think at least I can say, you see me here, I attempt...
Wasn't aimed at you.
No, I respect that. But what I'm trying to say is, for me right now, I'm working, I'll just give you a subset of Shaker Lane, I'll try to be done, is I need more people. I talk to them in the neighborhood, but then they're gone. And I need more people to come together when you folks are listening, and it's not just Friday office hours, it's all 5 of you together and really hit all the different issues. I've probably heard 6 or 7 different reasons why people voted against this building change, Article 12. And yet, I didn't have all those things in advance, I only had them that night. And therefore, just one resident, and there were other people, I give the Council on Aging, the chair, credit for speaking up when she did, because it was overwhelming and obvious it was going to fail, and yet she spoke up. But there's some aspect of needing to be able to come together to see like-minded citizens so that we can then see, hey, there's more than just me. There's you and you and you, and to bring up the thoughtful comments that can compete and hopefully convince. And the timing of it, we're not going to do it at town meeting. The dynamic is, it's already baked at that point in time. It needs to be something before. For these big dollar items, the ones that you already know are going to have the hour-long public comment at town meeting. Anything you can do to force us. And you're right, Chuck, in terms of the individual things, but it's an individual thing when 30 people are going to watch this, on LCTV, and nobody's going to have that interaction aspect. So it's just my attempt to try to offer up.
I respect that, and I respect the fact that you do put in the amount of time you do put in.
Thanks for letting me speak again.
So, just last piece. So 250 people at town meeting, I don't know, what was the...
241.
241. Our typical meetings, when we discussed that article, 5 people, 10 people, you just
Probably
said,
here for something else, but they hung around.
views on LCTV, all right, I'll be, how many, so you're basically, I will say, out of that 241, is half are just coming to town meetings?
Yeah.
And getting this in the mail?
Yeah.
And coming to town meetings?
And never paying attention before that.
Right, that's why this green thing, when I said it doesn't help, that did not help. Because they read this, and they were coming to town meeting, and they're like,
What?
no.
To Rob's point, I think there's a lot to be said for advertising something that says, okay, we're going to talk about Shaker Lane, versus, okay, we're going to have a meeting and you can dig through the agenda and see what we're talking about. Yeah. One will bring in more people than another, so.
So it
it's
might
good
be,
feedback,
There's only
I
so much
think.
bandwidth, though.
Right, 100%.
maybe like we try an experiment before the fall town meeting and hold extra office hours at random times,
We do all represent all of the voters. And Matthew made the point earlier, very easy to get a hold of you or any one of us, right? And I think that we each represent, there's going to be a contingent that's going to reach out to me and not necessarily out to you. And we have to make sure that we aggregate the whole. And, sometimes I think each one of us has probably made a vote that wasn't necessarily the vote that we would have made, but it was the vote that
We thought
was the
they
right thing
wanted
for the
us to
town,
make,
and that's what
yeah.
the residents wanted.
Yeah.
And that's what, when we get elected in May, we need to be representing everybody, and if only 1,200 people show up, or only 250 people show up, to me, that says, then you're putting your trust in us to try to get the best for the most.
So the other thing I was going to just circle back on is, I went to an MMA talk about a month ago where they were talking
Not
about
mixed
the-
martial arts.
No, the citizens academies, right?
Yeah.
And I really think we need to figure out how to do a citizens
Yeah, we
academy
talked
here.
about this.
It will help build the bullpen and fill those slots of people coming up and get people more informed of how to.
Huge cycle of, yeah.
How to get-
It's been done in the past, and it should be done again. You're right.
So
I'm not gonna lie, I had a person come up to me today, it was a landscaper, and
That landscape would tell you to.
I said I had a
Russell
meeting
Street.
tonight, so I said I have a meeting tonight. I'm going, he goes, what do you do? And I'm on the select board. He goes, what's that? That's a residence. Just to let you know that there's that extreme.
Yep.
And then they don't even, people just live their daily lives and
Wow.
Sure.
do what they do, so. Some people.
Wasn't the same way.
So that's where something like an academy would help. Whew, all right, I don't want Karen to end on
I'll
time.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Matthew, seconded by Chuck. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Littleton.
8:27.
Good job, Karen.